Let's start here. This is not for sympathy. This is not for judgment. This is for the glory of the Lord. This is for the glory of God. Glory be to God. So, when I refer to Keisha, 1995, that's a Keisha that was different from the Keisha that you all know now. So, what had happened was me and God had this little beef going on. I was about 24, 25, and me and God had this little beef. Okay. So the beef was no matter how good I did things, it just seemed like it wasn't going good. And I was mad. Now, I was born and raised in church, but at the same time, I'm like, this, I just feel like this ain't getting me nowhere. You supposed to be God. You supposed to make all these things happen. I'm trying to do as best I can. I wasn't perfect by no means, but I'm trying. Oh, I'm trying to live my life right. I'm trying to do right. Well, when things started going left, I was like, okay, well, this was about to happen. You do you, God, and I'm about to do me, and that's what I did. So I started doing things that I wanted to do, and I could have cared less what the consequences was. And just remember, I'm still 24, 25, so I'm in my dumb years too. And Jessica is the only child I had at this time. I'm the oldest of my mama 5 kids, so my younger siblings, they depend on me as well as my mama too. And I was married. So you do you, God, I'm gonna do me. My relationship at that time was horrible. So I did me. Well, I'm gonna skip some parts and I'm gonna just go to this part to give God the glory. I was in a bad accident. The accident was so bad that I had a collapsed lung and a broken left leg. And my daughter was in the car. My husband was in the car at the time. My husband at that time. My sister. They all were injured. But I'm going to speak on just my part because I feel responsible too for some of their injuries as well because my husband was talking some stuff in the driver's seat and I'm over here dragging him in the passenger seat because what you're not going to do is tell me nothing and I don't tell you nothing back. You're not going to hit me and I don't hit you back. That's Keisha 1995. Now, I still might hit you back, but it's different. I'm not trying to hit you. That's the difference. I'm not trying to hit you. So we get into this bad car accident where the car crashes into the big old pillars that hold up the bridge. The big old pillars, the big one that you can't hug unless you got 5 friends and y'all go hand in hand and hug around that big old pole. When that accident happened, like I said, my left leg was broken and I had an injury to my chest area and a collapsed lung. So I couldn't get out the car. My sister was injured. Everybody was injured. Everybody was quiet. And I just remember everything going black. And I remember the last thing that came out my mouth was, oh shit. And it just went dark for me. So it went dark and I saw lights, like little stars. It almost looked like I was in a cartoon where Tweety Bird get their head hit and you see them little stars that go around. But everything was black. And then I was eating peanuts. And then I saw the stars almost like the night sky if I was in the country somewhere where they ain't have the city lights. And I was in that little quiet moment. So I opened my eyes and kind of, well, I don't think my eyes was ever really closed, but if it was, I don't know. So when I open my eyes, I'm the only one in the car that's really conscious. And I'm like, Teedy, which is my sister, trying to get her attention. I don't hear Jessica in her car seat behind me saying nothing, but remember, my baby deaf. So she can't hear me saying Jessica, although we have telepathy. So, I should be able to feel, some of the things that my baby feel, and she feels me. And that's real. But I couldn't get my sister to kind of wake up. Now my sister was 8 months pregnant with our first baby, George. And because of the accident, some things happened before the accident that made her take her seatbelt off, and she wound up coming from back seat, hitting the top of the ceiling like what a light would be. So it scraped her head, and she wound up kind of like up here. When she did that, it broke her wrist, broke her jaw. It scraped up her leg because in the back in the old cars, they had the cigarette lighters that was back there. So it scraped up her leg to the point where they thought that they was going to have to do the burn thing on her, where they scrape your leg until your skin come back up. Yeah. And remember, she 8 months pregnant with a broken jaw, broken wrist. I got the broken leg. I got the chest injury. I got the collapsed lung. And Jessica, who was behind me, her ankle wound up being broken because I guess by her little leg hanging out the car seat, the seat went back, boop, boop, right on her little leg. So it broke her, I want to say her left ankle. So she wound up with a ride and stuff in her leg, her ankle at that time. Well, everybody could kind of get out the car. I'm like, T, you gonna have to go get some help. Because I knew I couldn't move because I'm profusely bleeding from my chest. So I'm starting to lose my breath by talking because I didn't know my lungs were filling up with blood. Okay. So they wound up going to get help for me. I don't know, somebody saw us on the side or whatever because we was far off the road. And they had to get the jaws of life to open my car door. And remember, this back in the days where the cars were really, really built to last. It ain't like these plastic things now. Thank you, Jesus, for our cars. But, it's not like it was back then. They got the jaws of life to open up the car door, and they took me out. And all I can remember is being in the grass and the little bugs. They be in the grass like them little really natty things was, flying or whatever. And by me having blood, I guess they coming to attach whatever could attach to me. And this was December the 13th. So yesterday made 30 years. 1995. I just graduated from college, was working at Fairmont. And like I say, you do you, God, and I'm gonna do me. So they put me in the ambulance, and I remember the paramedics working on me and stuff like that. And they were trying to stop me from bleeding here. And so all I can remember is now I know why the little bugs was trying to get me because I got blood all over me. And I remember them securing my neck because they didn't know, if something was wrong with my neck. And what else? I started throwing up blood. I didn't know what I was throwing up. I was throwing up something, and I remember it being bubbly and thick. It was different than whatever. So I'm throwing up the blood. And it was like, we about to take you to the hospital. I remember saying, don't take me to Charity. They gonna kill me. That's when you don't know better, baby. Charity saved this life. So they bring me to Charity. I'm blacking in, blacking out because I don't remember the ride there, but I do remember getting in the ambulance. I don't remember the ride there. I don't know what Jessica is. I don't know what nobody is because I'm in and out of consciousness. So then I go to Charity, and they put me in this room, and I had this type of attitude that if this is life, then take me, cause I wasn't liking the hand I was being dealt at that time. Like this was like I just felt like life was just too hard. It was just no matter what I did, it still wasn't right. College graduated, I'm married, working, and all that stuff right there was legit. And then when it started doing, life started, I felt like wasn't doing me right. I said, I'm gonna do me, you do you, God. So although I feel like God said, okay, I take my hands off you for a little bit, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not feeling no remorse for whatever, nothing. Um, but I knew He took His hands off me, and that was cool with me at that time. So then I'm in the room where they go to snatching stuff all off you. So they snatching off my rings, they cutting up my clothes, and I'm still throwing up blood, and I'm just so weak, and I can just remember all the lights and all the people just around me, because whatever it was at this point, now it's trauma. I'm in everybody in there. So I could see the big lights. I'm going in and out. I could hear them talking. They was like, she's a 50. I don't want to lie. A 52 or 57, whatever it is. It was a 50. I'm 50% chance of living or dying. That's what I was. And they was like move over, move your whatever. They take you off the gurney that you own for the ambulance, and they put you on the gurney for the hospital bed. And it was like move over. I'm like laying there like I'm not doing nothing, because I don't care anymore. That's why I was like, I really don't care if I live or if I die. So they was asking me questions and stuff like that. I don't know if I answered or not. I think they stabilized me to a point because they needed to do a thing where they put a balloon or something in your leg where your groin is and go up to your chest, because they wanted to see what my wound was in my chest. Did it hit my heart artery, whatever. And they put me in this room, and I can't tell you all the details of it because I'm still in and out. And I remember my mama coming in that room. She opened that door, and she couldn't even cross the sill. And she grabbed the frame of the door, and she just was going down, and she was crying. She was like, oh, Lord. And she was just going down to the floor. And I said, Mama, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to live. And then I passed out. I do remember that. I passed out. But I do remember waking up a little bit, because when they give you that angioplasty, I don't know, I'm going to call it angioplasty. When they put the thing on your leg to go up to your chest to see how your heart is doing, that's a procedure. So I would wake up during a procedure, and I don't know, I think it was an Asian doctor who was doing it, because I can remember his face. And at this time, the lights that they use on you, all these people look so celestial. They look so angelic. They look so like they just got a facial, like all these people look so angelic. But all you see is lights because they're so bright. And he's doing this, whatever, and he's looking on the monitor. And I don't know if he gave me some more to put me back to sleep, but I probably woke up twice doing that. The second time I woke up when they did it, they was putting pressure on the wound because they had to keep the pressure on there for a minute so that the wound wouldn't open back up and I bleed to death, because that's where they they cut me to put the thing in. So they had to put pressure on it. I don't know how long they did that. That was it. I don't remember no more after that for a while, because I think they may have put me in like maybe a coma to keep me stable. So I would be I was in ICU, and every time I would wake up, it's almost like, when you wake up in the morning, everything look fuzzy or funny, or if you wake up and you kind of drugged up, you trying to wake up. I remember a nurse coming over to me, and I would see the lights, and I could see like shadows of people, but I couldn't make out no face because everything fuzzy, like as if I had oil in my eyes. I'm like, you just can't get it. You just can't get your focus right. And she's like, hey, well, I'm gonna just paraphrase. Hey, my baby, you woke? Let me take care of you or something like that. And I would go back to sleep. So I guess she would give me medicine and I'd go back to sleep because all I knew is whatever was in my throat, I couldn't talk, I couldn't whatever, I couldn't swallow. And that thing, I don't know what it was. It must have been big in my throat to keep me, living. So they put me to sleep. So I don't remember them ever taking a thing out of me or nothing like that. But I know I moved from that ICU, and I don't remember the move, to another one that was more quiet. Okay, so then had all them bells and whistles, that went with it. Because I could hear, some of the stuff, you don't hear all of that in the next one that I was in. Now, the next one I was in, I can remember a little more because I guess I'm not being sedated. So I can wake up, but there was a lot of sleeping going on. So I don't know how long I was in that particular unit either. Now, the main unit I was on, this is the third place. I don't know how many other places, but this is the third one I was on. I was on this floor in this ward where they had beds lined up like crayon box. Must have had 8 beds on this side, 8 beds on that side, a nurse desk. As soon as you walk in the door, you was gonna hit the nurse desk, and then they gonna have beds. And all them beds was no private room. If you got a shot, shit, piss, puke, whatever, you could hear what's going on in each whatever conversation homegirl had right there. I was gonna hear. Whoever was coming visit me right there, they was gonna see it. Now they could close the curtain right there, so you go get your little wash off or have your little minimal privacy. But it was almost like watching MASH. If you ever watch the TV show MASH, that's what it was like. A big ass room, Charity Hospital. These nurses were firm, but they did their job. So I was in the room with a girl who was next to me. Her sister had stabbed her in the back. I'm in the bed right here with my chest wound. Then I'm not going to tell you how I got. And we still don't know my leg broken. And then they got an older lady next to me. Her ailment is something else. Then they got a lady down there. 1 or 2 beds down. She's screaming and hollering in pain. Whatever was going on with that lady who was screaming and hollering in pain, when my cousin Stephanie came to visit me, she actually knew the girl who was down there. The girl's stomach had to be left open so that her wound could close properly. I'm not understanding, but that room stunk because of whatever they needed to do with her. And I do remember, I never saw, because she was so far down, and I couldn't move around. But I could turn my head and look, but she was maybe 3 or 4 patients down from me. But she lit that room up because they had to leave her open in that bed, but was in so much pain. She was like, ah, ah. You would swear she was in labor, giving labor. And I would be there. I just realized that. I'm today years old when I realized that. I was sitting there praying that she be all right. Couldn't pray for myself, but it's so built in me that I was praying like, Lord, please help this lady be all right. I'm praying. Remember now, you do you, and I'm gonna do me. I was still being smart at the mouth. I forgot to tell you too. God was asking me too, you want to live or you want to die? I was like, I don't care. Whatever you do. You want to live, you want to die. I don't care. Whatever you do. And that's the reason why I burst out and told my mama, Mom, I'm going to live. I'm going to live. Okay, but anyway, I'm going to go back to the lady. So she was down there. She was screaming and she was hollering. And she, whenever they would calm her down, I guess it took a lot of medicine. So the nurses, I think they had three on that unit, pretty much all the time. I guess at night we may have had two, but they spent a lot of time with her as opposed to all the other people in the room. And I'm telling you, there was a lot of us in that room. I would be lying if I said it was 10. I think it was more than that. I think it was 15 people in that room. And they had to take care of all of us. So yeah. I'm sure two of them was nurses, and one of them must have been like a the help or whatever. So the nurse came to me one day. I probably was in there maybe a week or so at this point. Probably, I don't know. Anyway, came to me and she was like, "Okay, you need to start walking around because, or get up and start moving around because we don't want you to get pneumonia." And I was like, "I can't." She said, "What you mean you can't?" I said, "I can't move my leg." And she said, "What you mean you can't move your leg?" I said, "I only move my leg by sticking my right leg under my left leg to give it some relief because it was just stuck there. I couldn't move it." And she said, "Okay." So they came in there, got me or whatever. They did an x-ray. I can't remember if they did it in a room or if they brought me somewhere because I wasn't really mobile because I still had the chest tube in my side. Yep, I still had the chest tube in my side, which was like this big. So I got a hole right there that was still inflating and helping my lungs stay inflated. Cause if you took that chest tube out of me, I was panting for my breath because I couldn't breathe really, really like this on my own. So they did whatever to see what was going on with my leg, and sure as shit think the big leg in my bone tibia was broken. Tibia, what tibia? But anyway, the big leg in my leg was broken. The big bone in my knee, like down that area, was broken. So now I gotta have surgery on my leg. So they stopped me from eating so I could have surgery on my leg. And then they would bring me to surgery and have me sitting in this hallway all by myself on a gurney, laying down. And all I could do was look up at the ceiling. Now, they didn't want to take the chest tube out just yet because they didn't know if I was going to need it during surgery. So I had to keep my chest tube in longer just because I got to go to surgery. They had to postpone surgery because then, trauma would come in because Charity was known for dealing with trauma. So this happened like it happened 2 times. It happened at least two. Then the third time I went to surgery. But what they used to do me is they leave me in this hallway and I'm just laying there and I'm just looking at the ceiling. When you alone, when God gets you alone, guess what? You ain't got nobody to talk to but him. My mama could not come and see me because she had to take care of my daughter whose ankle was broken. My my husband at that time, he couldn't because of his situation. My sister, like he made sure I was by myself. I was by myself, and you ain't had no choice but to have be in your head and have conversation with him. Like, why this happened to me? See, this is what I'm talking about. But I chose life because I saw the look on my mama's face. But I'm like, look, see, this is what I'm talking about. On my back, on my whatever, can't do nothing. Da da da. I thought things was bad. It got worse when he took his hands off me. But I told him, you do you, I'm do me. I don't, at that point I ain't care. You take your hands off me. But I did choose to live, but I still was mad at God. I was mad. Because I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff right, and this what you do me? Like, man, this not fair. So, eventually I get surgery on my leg. I must have 27 staples up the side of my leg. Because you know this back in the days. You ain't getting all that sticky glue tape on your whatever. Oh, no. You're getting staples. Like Frankenstein. Yeah. Like the ones they hang up your wires on the outside of your house. Staples in your leg. And them bitches burn. They burn. Um, and they itching whatever, because when you start healing, they go to itching. So when they did it, they had to go past my knee. So it's from my mid calf, but it's on the side of my leg. It's on the outside, all the way to past my knee. They had to take something out of my hip on the same side of the chest tube, take a piece of the bone out my hip and put it in my leg. So now I got whatever in my leg. I got a drainage tube in my hip from what they did that. I got the chest tube still in my upper part of my body. So they decided to remove my chest tube after the surgery, and they got me on this machine that actually kind of like moves your leg for you. So my leg, on this machine, when you wake up, your leg is moving because they don't want your leg to get stiff. So it's making your leg go in and out, whatever. And they got it on a certain function where it don't go no faster or whatever, because they can make it do like this, but they determine your range of motion. They can make it go up, down, but mine was just going in and out. Let's say at a maybe 45-degree angle, going up, in and out. All right. So, well, it's elevated off the bed going in and out. So my doctor who was dealing with the chest area, his name was Joe Lockett or Locker, something like that. Joe. His name was Joe. And he was like, "You ready to take that chest tube out?" So I didn't know that they sewed the chest tube in. So they take the chest tube, put it in, and they sew it around there. Yeah. So he had to cut those stitches off. I was like, yeah, because they make you do the little ball thing. And I was having the whole time blowing that damn ball up. Couldn't. And he was like, look, you got to get that ball past such and such because right now, he said, you're breathing like a baby. I was breathing like, because I wasn't fully inflating my lungs. Now that everything that has breath, praise the Lord. And I don't think you understand how important every breath is until you can't take one on your own. So I appreciate my breath guard. And I don't play with you like that either no more. I don't do that. So when they unstitched the stitches, and he pulled, and he tell me before they pulled out, he's like, okay, now you gotta take a deep breath. And when he pull, you gotta blow. And he pull it out. And you feel it. You feel it. And then they whatever. Now he got to sew it back up. He gotta sew your whole back up. Yeah. So they sew my whole back up. And I'm still getting the leg thing doing this. So my leg hurt. My hip hurt. They sewed me back up. And I still was dealing with my chest injury, which had to be sewed up too. So my left side was messed up. I left God, and he left me with a memory. Yep, he left me with a memory. I call them war wounds. Yep. Keisha is the type of girl who likes to touch the hot stove. Is it hot? You could tell me it's hot, but I needed to touch it, and this is me touching it. So every time now, I wanna I wanna forget anything. Yeah, I got things to remind me where I come from. So they took the chest tube out. I gotta do the breathing thing. And they want me to get up and start getting around. But of course, remember, I just had freshly whatever surgery on my leg. And then they got to take the thing out of my hip, the drainage tube out of my hip. So my other doctor come in, his name is Mark. I remember that. And he come in and he was like, okay, we're going to take the drainage tube out your hip. Now remember, they sewed in the chest tube, that little drainage tube thing, he got a couple of little stitches around it too, because it got a little plastic in it and it got little stitches around it too. So now they got to cut the little stitches off, and then they got to pull the drain tube. Now the drain tube drain is skinnier. It's like a straw, but it's more plasticky because the chest tube thing more hard. The drain tube is more, flexible. Like what you see on the IV bag is more flexible. Like some of them things. So when he's pulling it, he pulling it and I like, and he said what? I said I think it popped. He said I think it popped too. So he was like, okay. So whatever came out, came out. So he did he said, okay, well, I'm going to have to do an x-ray. And sure as shit stink. It popped. It popped. So now I got to go through surgery again. So remove the tube that was supposed to be draining. They remove the tube. So when they go in this time, remember this is a fresh cut. So now they got to go into that cut again and cut it again and get the tube out. Get the plastic out. And this is a couple of days before Christmas. And he said, I promise I'm going to get you out of here by Christmas. I had little or no faith in what they was promising. Because like I told you before, when I go to surgery, they would send me back to my room saying their trauma would come in and they would send me back to my room. So they did do that again. Wheel me in that damn hallway. I'm sitting up there looking at the ceiling. The old ceiling, the ones you look like you push the thing up and fall through and stuff like that. And I'm in this hallway and I'm all by myself. And I was like, God knows how to get you by yourself. He knows how to get you alone. So they sent me back to the room because they couldn't do the surgery because the surgeon that Mark was working under was a black orthopedic doctor. And Mark was, I guess, a resident. And I was under two-lane stuff. And he has to wait till his superior could be in that room while he's doing his surgery. So everything kind of revolved around that guy. He was nice looking black man, very firm and not really, really friendly, like, just doing his job. Mark was really, really nice and very young white boy. And he was more people friendly. And then Joe, who took care of my chest, he looked like Mark Wahlberg, baby. He was handsome with blonde hair. He was very handsome. And I'm not, But anyway, yeah, they do the surgery the day before Christmas. They do the surgery the day before Christmas. Now, all this time, I have not seen my child because she with my mama. Have not seen my mama because she with my child. I have friends and everybody that's coming up and checking on me and stuff like that. Um, but during that hospital stay, I had I'm gonna tell you about the surgery day before Christmas. But during that hospital stay, I couldn't take my birth control during that time because my birth control was in my purse, and my purse was lost because it was in the car, and that's the last thing anybody worry about. So it made that time of the month come while I'm already dealing with a whole lot. And if you ever want to smell somebody smell musty, it don't matter what you do. Like my children say, I ain't even did no. Why I gotta take a bath? I laid in that hospital bed. I was so musty. Like, how did I get this musty? I'm not even moving. I probably lost 20 pounds in those 2 weeks. But anyway, while I'm in there, that time of the month starts, and I'm like, I'm so dirty. I felt so dirty. And Erica came. Erica was there. Erica was there a lot. And she came and she cleaned me up. She cleaned me up. She cleaned her musty, bloody, stanky friend up. Yep, she did. Not a look on her face that is like disgust. None of that. She came and she cleaned me up. And I want to say not just one time. I want to say at least twice. Yep. Yep. She did. And to say she passed away 1 day shy of 30 years of my situation. 1 day shy. Who just knew that 30 years from that date, like she'll be gone. And all that time, she's been dealing with cancer in some form or fashion. 30 years. The 30 years that I'm celebrating still being here is the 30 years that her journey, she had a 30-year journey with cancer, if not more. But yeah, 30. So I have surgery eventually because at this point, the black doctor, whose name I can't remember, the orthopedic doctor, said we gonna get you in here tonight, even if he had to stay later, because I think because my surgery wasn't gonna be as long as it was like when they had to repair my leg. They knew that they could go up in there, get that tube out, and get me back on track. So I go in there the day before Christmas and have surgery to take that out of my hip. So now an aggravated situation is aggravated even more. So then now it means that area hurts so bad, my hip. So now I'm on this machine, and it's higher in the air. And I think they were going up and down at this point, because now it ain't just my leg. I think it's up and down and in and out. I really think that's what it was. So when I wake up out of surgery or come to, it's up and down and in and out, because now only do they have to worry about my leg not being stiff, they got to worry about my hip not being stiff. Now before this surgery, this second surgery for the hip, they moved us from wherever we were on that room to another room, which was in the middle of the hospital, because it was supposed to be so cold that room wasn't going to be sufficient enough for us to be in. So they moved us to another room, because the room where we were, it was very lit because of the big old Charity Hospital window. So now where we at, it look a little grim. It look a little whatever. It remind me of, if somebody lived in a castle and it look all dreary. That's how it look. So I wake up and I'm in this dreary looking room, and my person who was on the side of me when I was initially in the other room, she's still there, and it's an older lady, and she's like, my little cheerleader. You all right? You okay? Whatever. The girl who was on this side of me, she gone. She had went home. Yeah, she had went home. Um, I don't want to get lost. Okay, so she went home. When I wake up, the nurse come to me, the one that was firm. I can't remember her name for the life of me. If I had my old journals, I could tell you because I used to write everything. She said the only way you could go home is if you walk. That's what that nurse told me, and it was Christmas Day. So she takes me off the machine that's doing my leg up and down, in and out. Now remember, I have not gotten up and walked in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now I gotta walk on a gimpy leg I never walked on before, with the gimpy hip, with the chest tube, and then the chest thing at the top still healing. Plus, I had a cut on my hand that you could still see. Let me see. You could still see right there. So this was, you could kind of see it right there. Shit. So then that was still the issue too. I still had that cut mark on my hand too. So the left side, when I tell you it took a whipping, it took a whipping. So when I get up, they trying to find a way for me to walk. They can't give me crutches because I can't put the crutch under my arm because of the chest tube. I can't hardly put pressure on my hand because my little whatever was, on my hand, it was still an issue. Um, but I gotta find a way to walk. So they gave me a walker, and I'm trying to whatever. And I'm weak. I mean, when you don't use it, you lose it. I'm weak. I told you I lost about 20 pounds, like really. I lost 20 pounds because of the times they didn't have me eating, plus the times I was in the coma, plus the times I was not, after a while you just don't have that appetite. The only thing I wanted was salad with a lot of vinegar or salad dressing on it, because you could taste that. I couldn't taste a whole lot of stuff. And then hospital food not the best. And I'm sure people rub me stuff, but they don't bring you stuff like they do now. People didn't bring stuff to the hospital like talking about it. As far as food, they might bring you little flowers, balloons, something like that. Can't remember. But anyway, I had to get out that bed and walk. And I remember those ladies cheering me on, like, come on, Keisha, you could do it. Especially the lady who was in this bed to my left. This lady could have been my mama age. Come on, Keisha, you could do it. You could do it. And nurses, because they, I done been in there for a little second. And some of the other people, like, you could do it, you know. And I'm struggling, and I'm whatever, and I'm dragging my foot because I can't pick it up. I don't know what to do with it. No physical therapy, no nothing. I just had to figure it out, and I wanted to go home, and I can't put the foot on the ground because I just couldn't. I mean, you couldn't, but I can't lift it up too high in the air because of my hip. I can't hold nothing because the whole side of I'm just weak. Anyway, I remember crying. Oh, Christmas Day, I was crying. But they got me up early that morning. I was crying, and they got somebody. I walked enough for the nurse to say I could go home, to tell the doctor that I walked and I could go home. I go home, and I have to get out the car, and I have to walk to my mama house on Music Street. And how the houses was in front It was a double. So on the side of the house, you got a driveway. On the other side, a driveway. That's for each side of the double. In the middle is a big old ditch that go down like that. So there was no like, let me park right here, jump over the ditch, because I can't jump. Is either park right there, and my cousin Amanda brought me home. They did, and I have to walk through the 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 driveway and come to mama house. I couldn't get to the one by mama driveway. I can't remember why, but something was right there where I couldn't get through either with a walk or something. I don't remember what it was, but the driveway that I had to go to was the one that was furthest away from our door. But at the house, but further away. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. That was a hell of a walk. A hell of a walk. I couldn't hardly do it. I cried. I remember having on the road. Remember I told you that they moved us from one room to another one because it was freezing. It was freezing. I'm crying. You could feel like the tears drying up before they could even get down. Nobody could pick me up because my brothers, they were still young and little. My daddy wasn't around. Um my mama couldn't pick me up. My cousin couldn't pick me up. My cousin was probably less than 100 pounds back then. We wasn't no big people back then. But nobody could pick me up. And they couldn't pick me up anyway because if they try to help me on this side, I still had stitches, staples, sutures, whatever. So much damage to this side that you couldn't do nothing but just assist me and make sure I didn't fall, or just encourage me and put, why I struggled to get inside my mama house. And then when I get to the house itself, now I got these 3 or 4 steps. And I'm gonna show you a picture. To go up these little bitty steps, and it wasn't nothing but 3 or 4, and then she got the porch, and then you get inside, and I remember just crying. I just cried. I don't know how long it took us to get inside, but it was Christmas Day. I came home 1995, Christmas Day, and I cried. I cried. My mama set me up where I could sleep on her sofa because I couldn't go home because I stayed in the Calio project. And in my project, you go up these steps, which is like 7 or 8 steps, and then you got the porch that I share with 2 other ladies. And then when I go inside my house, you got to go straight up the steps. So nothing in my house was, like everything steps, steps. And yeah, that's my husband. That's my husband. Sometimes he don't like to hear this, so I'm telling him to go back so I can finish my story. So, you got the steps. So I had to go by mama. Mama was already taking care of Jessica. Jessica was in her case. T, they had her mouth wired up. She got her case on her wrist. Her legs look a mess. She got that scrape thing on her head, like I said, from hitting the light, because back in the days, these light things right here, it was metal. It wasn't this plastic, it was metal. It had a metal ring around it. And then it had a harder whatever for your plastic. Well, whatever, it was stronger stuff. So it scraped out there. And what else I wanna say? That was a trying time. So me and God, since that time, have an understanding that, yeah, you and I could talk, but how I go to him when I don't feel like this is right or something is wrong, or I don't like this God. I do it more respectfully now. It's not that I don't whatever voice my opinion to him. I do it more respectfully, because I'm telling you, I was being very disrespectful. And that's why I could tell you he not to be played with. You know, like I said, Keisha had to touch the stove. Now I knew God was real since I was a little girl. I knew it. I didn't seen stuff. I remember my mom and my grandma and them going to Reverend Shambach crusades, and I used to be with them because I was little. And I remember Reverend Shambach hand go up, and they had a shadow behind it that would come down on them, and the people would pass out. My little girl, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, wow, like the shadow, the shadow was on. Like I didn't know if that was his shadow, but I knew that that shadow, whatever that shadow was that was behind his hand, was humongous. It was big. So when his hand came down, the shadow too, the shadow hand came down too, and that's what I saw as a little girl. My mom ain't tell me nothing. I saw what I saw, so I knew God was real then. Um, but that is how my relationship started with God. It started off rocky. It started off rough. Okay, we're gonna try this again, but this time I'm gonna be more respectful. And I don't like everything that that goes on in the world. I don't like everything that's being done, but at the same time, I know that it becomes a testimony, and so this is part of my testimony. So now, without you all may not know, but my grandson right now, my grandson right now is in the hospital. Um, and he had he's my grandson was shot. My grandson was shot in November. My baby, my GG baby. He's 18 and he was shot and he is um fighting for his mobility from here, from his chest down. And do I believe that he's gonna be mobile and functioning again? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if I was smart at the mouth with God and he allowed me to be able or restored me, that's not, my baby's situation. I think God set him down, for reasons that he knew. And, I believe I could make my assumptions, but he set him down. So now Gigi had to share her experience 30 years ago with her grandbaby today, or to date, as of now. And so when I was telling him my story maybe a week or so ago, he looking at me like, what? And I was like, yeah, look, Gigi got the wounds to prove it. I know what it's like not to be able to move like you want to move. I remember my cast. I didn't have a cast, but the thing that they put on my leg, with the little balls on each end so that your leg can, whatever, being so high up there, like while I would wear uh, my shorts, that when I go to the bathroom, I couldn't pull it down enough to be able to use the bathroom. Plus, by the time I sit on the toilets back then was low. Oh, Lord. What was it high? But it didn't even matter. I would have to fall on the toilet. So while I'm falling on the toilet, I'm already starting the process. So then I would be there crying because who wants to be 24, 25 and having to clean themselves up from not being able to hold in their pee, because I couldn't, I'm falling on the, I got to fall on the toilet because I can't maneuver my leg like I used to. So all those things that handicapped me and that I took for granted and thought life was so horrible, I started appreciating. I started appreciating it. Um, I still every now and then have to do that, go back into appreciation mode because we do take it for granted. My feet was hurting me uh plantar fasciitis. It had been hurting me when I in October. It was like really bad. And I was like, Lord, I know you didn't give me these legs just for these feet to start hurting. And this time I ain't do nothing. I heard them doing exercise and when I was doing calf raises. So it was already probably there. It just made it accelerated. So I just want to say, appreciate the things that you do have. Find joy in the things that you do have, because it could get really rough and it could be worse than what it is. Yeah. So I just want to come on here and let you know where my true walk with God came from. I always knew God, I always knew Jesus. And I probably didn't get it right until maybe 2 years after that. The walk was whatever, a struggle. And then maybe by the time I hit 26, 27, I'm gonna say 27 for sure. That's when I started finding my true walk with God. Yep. So I don't play about God, baby. Mm-mm. And he don't play about me either. Yeah. But I'm glad he gave me the opportunity to be a homeowner, a grandmother, to have the rest of my kids, because I only had that one. To meet a man who loves me. He love my dirty, you know what? He do. He do. Because he wash my clothes. He know about me. Um, I thank God for the people that he placed in my life, the ones who prayed for me. I even thank God for the ones who did give me um a little havoc in life, because it teaches me to appreciate the stuff that don't give me havoc in my life. So this role in being Keisha has not always been easy, but God has always been there. And even in those hallways when everybody else was out the hallway, how Charity Hospital had big old busy, busy, busy hospital, and I would be in the hallway on a gurney looking up at the ceiling and only having an occasional janitor or somebody walk by me. And when somebody would walk by me, if I felt like I was there too long, I was like, there was no clock, no nothing, but you knew you there too long. And you'd be like, are they coming to get me? You asking anybody for help because you ain't gonna see nobody in this hallway for a long time. And that to me now raises, now I'm talking about it's like that's odd. Because my daddy worked at Charity Hospital, so I was at Charity all the time, back and forth. Never seen a area that was empty. Never. Yep. But I was in that hallway by myself. And when I tell you that hallway was so long, and the hallway was long. It remind you of what that is. That ain't Psycho. I'm trying to think of that hallway. Anyway, Red Rum. The movie where the hallway was just super long, but this hallway was all white ceiling, white walls, white floor. From what I could see when I looked like that or whatever, but I never could walk on them. I could only walk in that one room, and then after that, they wheeled me out of there. But Charity Hospital saved my life December 13th through December 25th, 1995. And after that, I asked God to change that Keisha, that fighting Keisha, because that's how that accident happened. That's why I feel somewhat responsible, because the fighting Keisha, yeah, you know. And although I ain't hit nobody that day, because I was such a fighter, they probably knew it was coming, or once they hit me, yeah, it was on. Yeah, you know. So I don't want to talk about that part though, because that part has moved on. We are both grown now. We have both um progress from that. We have a true friendship and understanding now. I love my husband. He love his wife. We have moved on. We are with, the people I think that we are supposed to be with. Now, do we still both need help in areas? Heck yeah. Do the old Keisha want to pop somebody in their face? Yup. But then I go to asking, what do I want to teach my children? So then I divert and go back to, trying to do the right thing. Now, I know that this was long, but I hope that it helps somebody with their walk with God, because there's no way you can make it without him. And if you ever think in your whole entire life, let me tell you this, that you can live without him or you could breathe on your own, you are sadly mistaken. If you think that wiggling your fingers is just you could will that to happen, I promise you, you can't. Because no matter how much I wanted that leg to move out that bed, it did not. And the other one did. The other one moved. And I listened to my grandson say the same thing. He said, Gigi, no matter how much I try to make that finger move, I can't make it move. That's very frustrating. To be a prisoner in your own body is very frustrating. So find joy. I promise you. God will not let you down. Now, do I have some things on my plate with God right now? Yeah, I'm about to go right to him right now. I said, Jesus, what we doing? I cried the other night to him. Like, God, I'm not liking this, and that. But at the end of the day, he already know that too. But I just don't want you to get cocky with it, thinking that your breath is your, like you, I don't really want you to think you doing that. I really don't. If you think you standing up because, yeah, I did, you really not. And yeah, you did that, kudos to you. But at the end of the day, I promise you, that ain't you doing it. It really is not. Nope. If he tell you sit down, he'll sit you down. And I don't want to be sat down no more. I don't want that no more. I want you to use me in a positive manner. I want to be a blessing to somebody else. I want to have wisdom and understanding. And I want to grow. And I don't want people to test me either, because I feel like this too. People like, oh, but you're a Christian. Yay. I go to church so I don't act no worse than what you see me acting right now. I'm still Keisha. You know what I'm saying? Me going to church don't mean like I got it together. Me going to church mean that you got it. You gonna get a little bit less Keisha because I go to church. Like you get a little bit more grace because I go to church. Not you gonna get a whole pass. No, that ain't how that go. And I suggest you go there too so that you could do even less, so you don't even see that side of Keisha. So we can all work harmoniously. Gotta pray for the orange man. You think I want to do that? I want to grab him by his, and just squeeze. But that ain't what God loves, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to pray for him. Because even ice melts. You heard? No, on that night, I'm gone. 30 years later. And I love you, Erica. Girl. I love you. I love you.